Money in your 50s. Am I right? Hey, we do these mini-series, I think yearly, because it's really good just to take stock of our decade and what are the key opportunities, the key risks, and the key considerations when it comes to financial planning, lifestyle planning, retirement planning, as we get closer to that line in the sand where we say, well, tools down or half tools down, how can we be best prepared for that? So over the next few weeks, you will hear an episode on money in your 50s, money in your 60s, money in your 70s, and they're themed just for you. I will say any age will be able to glean from these episodes because we're talking concepts. Some concepts suit different ages better, but you'll still learn along the way. Today, I'm welcoming back Martin McGrath. Marty, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good to be back.
Thank you for coming back to do your community
Hibernation
service.
for a little bit, but yeah,
he's back,
to be back
baby.
in the seat.
If you are new to the show, Martin is a financial advisor from Financial Edge Group, helping clients all over Australia, primarily high net worth, complex stuff, because when you're Martin, that stuff attracts you.
That's our skill set, what we're built for.
That's your vibe.
That's our bread and butter.
Yeah, higher net worth, more complex structures, all that, because Martin's got an accounting background. So that's his jam.
Don't hold it against me.
I will.
Yeah.
So look, let's get into it. Money in your 50s. Before we I think we've got 5 points for people to consider.
Maybe we're chucking a few extras out along the way.
Yeah. There could be 7 points. There could be 5. But before we get into it, what do we got to do in terms of this laying the groundwork?
Yeah, I think in that respect that life goes quickly. I mean, you and I still got many years ahead of us, but you're like, geez, we're already this age already and it's moving along. You might wake up in your 40s and 50s and go, geez, okay, I'm only just getting established now on the house and the mortgage and the kids, and all of a sudden there's potentially a pathway to I'm getting to be tired and when can I kind of retire? So in my mind and in our mind, retirement planning, obviously the earlier the better, but really kind of starts to kind of rev up from 50s. And some of the themes today, some of the strategies start to make a lot more sense in your 50s than perhaps they did in your 30s and 40s. Perhaps in your career or business might be the point of a level of maturity that we're established, maybe earning our highest levels of income. Maybe we're in our forever house and therefore the mortgage is under control to a certain level. Maybe not debt-free, but at least we kind of know where that's I suppose, in place. And so then it's about making sure that the last 10 years have gone pretty quick. The next 10 might. Let's actually start to put some plans in place so that retirement's a bit more in our control rather than just waking up in 10 years' time and looking at life then.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about was potentially this decade being the decade of maybe you have drifted a bit and now it's time to reshuffle and start planning. Like, what would you tell a new client in their 50s who hasn't paid attention purposely or not on purpose about turning that drift into focus? Yeah,
I think in two respects, like retirement's probably still a while away, but it's close enough to start to make an impact, but also far enough that you can start to do things. Even if you've never put an extra dollar into super, if you've worked for someone else, they put money into super for you, you maybe never looked at your super statement. That'll be part of today's tips. But it's well, maybe we can't afford much, but if we start putting $50 a week extra in over the next 10, 15 years, it's going to compound a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be massive wholesale changes in our 50s, but start to make some small tweaks, but ideally start to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because the earlier we're kind of getting on board, we're listening to content like this to understand the rules, the better we have a chance to kind of maximize those benefits. And it's better to kind of, some clients come to me and go, I want to retire next year. Am I ready to go? Well, maybe, but it'd be better to come, hey, I want to retire in 10 years. What do I need to do to set myself up for that? So I'm sure there's some tips today.
Well, it's the old analogy. Best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. Yeah. Next best time, was it today or yesterday?
Yeah, today or tomorrow, either one. Yeah, pretty soon. So 100%. And there's not many people that, the starting point is a starting point. So also don't feel I'm behind someone else or whatever. Like today's just the best time to start. Yeah. So if you've never looked at your super statement, if you've been self-employed and you haven't put a lot of money into super, we don't have a time machine, but let's start now in our 50s rather than waiting till we're 67 and going, geez, do I have enough in super? What can I start doing now?
Yeah.
So let's get some things started.
Love it. Well, let's do this right now. My name is Glen James, joined today by Martin McGrath from Financial Edge Group. You only retire once, so make sure you retire right, and we're going to help you right now. Thank you for watching Retire Right. This show is general advice only. I've got a license to provide that advice, and full details can be found in the show description. My name's Glen James, creator and host of Retire Right. I'm a former financial advisor. Now I do the Retire Right show, the Money, Money, Money show, and I'm an author of several money books. Retire Right is brought to you by show partner Tallerwood Wealth Advice. If you're getting close to retirement or you're already there, you'll know the questions that keep you up at night. Will I have enough? How long will it last? Am I actually going to be okay? Tallerwood specialises in one thing and one thing only, and that's retirement. You can reach out to the team for a complimentary discussion about your retirement goals at tallerwoodwealth.com.au. There's a link in the show notes or the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much for listening today. Let's get on with the show right now. Okay, Martin, point number one that you want to chew on.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Yeah, so, and this is contentious because anytime we do these types of episodes, when you're mentioning the M word and the S word, there's this tension there. So you want to talk about potentially not automatically putting every spare dollar onto the mortgage.
Yeah, I think that's the right label. It doesn't have to be automatic. A lot of people think, and again, we're assuming we're in a house, we've got a mortgage to pay off. Often it's, well, I can't do anything until the house is paid off. And often then people, that's all their focus. And yes, we want to be debt-free in retirement, but it doesn't or shouldn't be the automatic thing. They're going, well, that's my minimum payment, or if I need to pay this much, it'll be paid by 58. Yes, we want to be debt-free, but don't automatically do that. Sit back and start to have a look at the numbers. Your repayment might be set up so that it's paid off by 57. Okay, well, do I need to put any extra in there? Or if I am putting extra in, maybe, and we'll get to the maths and the number side of things, but maybe it is pay a bit less so it's paid off by 60. That might take longer, but then extra money is, do we enjoy our 50s and do some trips? Do we start investing outside? Or do we potentially allow us to then have some surplus money to be investing inside of super? And part of this largely is the tax play. For me, it's not much around what's my mortgage interest rate versus what's my super returning, because rates go up and down and super returns go up and down. But once we start to understand the tax, and we'll talk a bit about that now, you realise of going, geez, I didn't realise how attractive money into super is versus if I just keep taking it as a wage kind of thing.
And I think that's the thing where we can trip up. A lot of, particularly around the superannuation and transition to retirement or account-based pension setting up over 60 if we've had a change, it's not about the return. It's one, we need to get as much money in a tax-effective environment and pay less. It's a tax strategy.
It's tax, yeah.
But we need to reconcile that with the emotional side, because every time we do these episodes, so many people jump in like, nah, paying off the mortgage, that's what I'm doing. Yep. How dare you say people don't pay off the mortgage? Well, we don't dare say anything other than an hour of content every week.
Yeah.
But it's about understanding your risk profile, because for every person that says, nah, you're an idiot, pay the mortgage down, you'll never feel better, every other person's like, no, I'm happy with my mortgage on even interest only for the next 5 years while I get that. And I don't like using the word arbitrage, but that tax arbitrage, and that money can kind of grow in a tax-effective environment.
Yeah, and the numbers and the maths is hard to argue, which I prepared some to say, but it's at other things of life, like, I don't know, do you clean the pool yourself? Do you pay for a pool cleaner? Do you catch the bus because it's cheap, or do you pay for a car? So there are things in life where I'm happy to pay more for this convenience. And it might be the case of, but that's, I suppose, that's the key message is understand going, well, I'm not going to salary sacrifice into super because I just want the mortgage gone. That's fine, but that might be costing you $5,000 a year in tax that could have otherwise been saved. So over 5 or 10 years, that adds up a lot. But it's a case of, that's okay. For me, that's more important. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to spend the money to make sure that that's set up in the right way.
Yeah. So why do you think most people out there have this thing? Because we're saying don't automatically put every spare dollar on the mortgage. Why do you think most people that's the gag reflex?
Well, I think maybe it's a generational thing. I mean, parents and grandparents, well, super wasn't really a thing. Financial security and retirement was owning a house and having it debt free. And
that still is.
And that still is 100%.
Yeah.
But there's more than one way to get to that destination. So 100% that's the case. Well, don't do anything else until the house is paid off.
Yeah.
Pay off the house. But the way that the tax rules are, the way that the higher tax rates apply, and again, if we're in our 50s, maybe we're at peak earning capacity. So maybe we've gone up the tax scales.
Yeah.
And in recent changes, all of the rules around super didn't get any worse. In fact, they got better. So therefore, the difference between that arbitrage between, well, hold on, if I get a 10 grand bonus from work and I take that as a wage, after tax, I might only end up with 6,000. If I send that 10,000 to super, I'm going to end up with 8.5 grand in super. So now, if I'm 60, that's great. I could probably send it and maybe take it out. If I'm in my 50s, I can't. But that 2.5 grand is pretty powerful. So again, at least you need to know that. Okay, so well, no, I want to take the kids on a trip next year. I'll take and spend the 6. But there's an opportunity cost there in doing so.
Yeah.
So I think for me, you definitely should go and do this instead. It's understanding, but then having a strategy, sitting down, talk to a mortgage broker, just have a look on your bank and go, based upon my current payments, when is my loan due to be finished? And the advice we would generally give, but this is general discussion, is if you're due to be finished well before 60, I'd in fact suggest, we slow it down. Because some people go, well, pay the mortgage off at 58 and then start doing super, perhaps, but you've been paying a lot of tax at high tax rates up until 58. Perhaps it's better to readjust your mortgage repayments so it's still going to be paid off by 60, but that might free up
a little bit extra.
$500 a week before tax, which ends up being a lot more in super. And obviously I've done a spreadsheet we can go to shortly to kind of walk that through.
Yeah. So when we go to the mortgage versus super, what are we actually comparing? Like, what are the biggest things before we put this slide up?
So I think one, we're going to need to pay a minimum mortgage repayment. So that's going to be happening anyway. What I'm talking about is paying extra off the mortgage. So I'll just put together some assumptions here around, we're in our 50s. Scenario A is if we don't do this, we're going to pay $1,500 a fortnight off our mortgage. We're trying to do extra, and we don't do anything extra in super. So $1,500 a week off our mortgage. Obviously, everyone's situation is different, and to make the maths work, I'm assuming we've got about a 320 grand mortgage.
Yep. If you are watching, we'll just start at, and it will be on the screen, column B, row 6.
Yep.
We're going to start there, and we've got the people starting at age 50.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm assuming that a couple's got the exact same birthday, and whether you're single or couple, the same rules apply. Whether your mortgage is higher or lower, the same kind of rules apply, etc. So, in that case, scenario A, we've got a mortgage of $320. We can afford to pay $15 a fortnight off it. Interest rates at 6%. If we do that over the next 10 years, our mortgage is basically going to be paid off pretty close to when we turn 60. The maths kind of works out at there'll be 20 odd grand left, but call that basically debt free. So that's path A, ignore super, just keep doing what we'll be doing.
Yep.
And we're going to be debt-free at 60 in that scenario.
So just on these, we're assuming the interest rate 6%.
Yep.
So I just want to do the assumptions.
Yeah.
What do you do with inflation?
Earnings inside of super is only 5%.
So it's still conservative on purpose to show the tax?
Yeah, it's not. I'm not trying to play, your super might get 10, your mortgage might be 6. In fact, I'm assuming that your earnings in super is even less than your mortgage. If your earnings in super are higher, this becomes even more attractive. Yeah. And back to what we both said.
Because that's what I was saying. If you're worried about investment returns, I'll make an example up. If you set up a second super account that was a conservative investment option, and you salary sacrifice just into that, even if this will show you, if it was just the cash option, forget inflation for 10 minutes, you're still going to benefit from the tax strategy.
Yeah, it's a tax strategy.
Okay, cool. So
I'm assuming this person's at a 32% tax bracket.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where this was. So what does that look like? Someone earning between $45,000 and $135,000.
Yeah.
So average income there. If you're at a tax rate lower, this is less attractive. If you're at a tax rate higher, earning above 130 grand, well, this then becomes more attractive.
Yeah.
5% includes inflation. So I would agree that's a fairly conservative
3% to use? Or
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so talk to us about this loan projection with the super strategy.
So what I'm saying here is that because the $1,500 you're paying off your mortgage is after tax. So to pay $1,500, you've got to earn an amount, pay tax, etc. Let's say a minimum payment, and I've kind of got there in A14, we can drop that down to $1,000 a fortnight.
Yep.
We still have to pay money off our mortgage, but it's only $1,000 a fortnight. Obviously, paying less off our mortgage means it's going to go down slower.
Yeah.
Then down in A21, I've got contributions, less tax, $735. So there's two bits in there I've kind of converted together. Where does $735 come from? Well, to earn $500 after tax, if you salary sacrifice that into super, it's about $800 a fortnight going into super because you're not having to pay personal tax on it. So you've just saved yourself 32%. When it goes into super, it is taxed at 15%.
Yeah.
I suppose that's important. We're rambling some numbers here. When you salary sacrifice into super, it is taxed, but it's only 15% versus your personal tax rates can be a lot larger. I.e., if you were to give up $500 a fortnight after tax, your net figure in super would actually be $735. So back to my little numbers before about your bonus, that's where this starts to come into fruition. $735 a fortnight times 26, because it's a fortnight.
And sorry, just on that, we're assuming that the super balance starts at 0.
Yeah. So like
so
you said,
the 20B, it says 0. There's nothing there because that's year 1.
0.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying a 50-year-old has no super. Back to your point, this could be a separate super fund just for this strategy. Because otherwise, yes, ideally you're starting with 200,000 or 300,000 or more. Your work's still putting in there 12% as well. So this is extra.
And I don't mind the quarantining of a second super fund for the emotional, psychological security that gets you to do the strategy anyway.
Yeah.
So, I'm just salary sacrificing to the separate super account. When I turn 60 or stop working, I know that amount there will go straight onto the mortgage. So at least you'll be able to quarantine it.
Yeah, that's not my retirement money. That's my mortgage
money.
Super mortgage money.
Yeah. Good point, gents.
So end of year 1 in B9, if we didn't do the super strategy, our mortgage would be around $300,000.
Yep.
$300,200. If we paid less off our mortgage in B16, the mortgage is going to be higher. We're going to be at $313. Well, that doesn't sound very good. But the money you've salary sacrificed to super, assuming a 5% earnings rate, you're actually going to have $17,000 in there. So your mortgage is going to be $13,000 higher, but your super is actually going to be $17,000 higher, i.e. a $4,000 benefit in year 1. Where does that benefit come from? Not some magical investment return that Martin and Glen have come up with. It comes from, it's just a tax claim.
Oh, I thought we were starting an investment fund called the Unicorn Fund.
And we charge heaps of fees and
that's
we ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
No. If anything, we've used a below market investment return because it's not an investment play, it's a tax strategy.
Yeah.
Year 1, 4,000. Year 2, 8,000. Year 3, 12,000, and it starts to compound there.
So that's the benefit of the strategy that is in B26 at the bottom. And what I'll actually do, everyone, if you are interested in downloading this one pager, it will be raw. It will literally look like this. I'm not prettying it up because I don't get paid to pretty up spreadsheets from Marta.
Yep.
I'll do a downloadable link in the YouTube comments, in the podcast show notes, where we'll put all our slides from today on a downloadable PDF, so you can download it and just have a read through this in your own time. So okay, so let's keep moving.
So following that across, let's go all the way to the far right column.
Let's just go to F. Let's go have a look F or G halfway through.
So if we don't do the super strategy, then our mortgage might be down to $208,000. And that'd be nice to wake up at 54 and have a mortgage of 208.
Yeah.
If we did the super strategy, our mortgage is going to be 281.
Yes.
Now, again, we're allowing for interest being charged on the mortgage at 6%, those kind of things. So our mortgage is higher, but our super would be $94,000.
Yeah.
So
the money's not disappearing. We're just
sitting in a separate pot.
Yeah.
Now, if I take 281 minus 94, that's that figure in F25. He's actually 187. So the net balance is 187 versus if I didn't do it, my mortgage balance would be 208. So it is that psychological bit of going, well, my mortgage isn't actually down as much as not doing it, but I've got this other pot of money, close to 100 grand now, that I can access from the age of 60.
Awesome.
Now, again, obviously other things, if you had an offset account, you have other things, these obviously the numbers would change. If you could afford, if you get some pay rise along the way, you could actually afford to do more and more and more and supercharge it. But we've just kept it simple just to kind of walk through the
So I
concept.
must really stress, if anything, it's almost, with all due respect, Martin McGrath, it's almost insulting that you've used a 5% super return for this projection. Like, this is ultra conservative.
Yeah.
But that's the plane we want to land.
Yeah.
We want people to be comfortable with taking risk, and a risk for some person could be a new tax strategy.
Could be there.
You could try this for 3 years, and guess what? If you don't vibe it, stop.
Stop it. Yeah.
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 But we do know one thing. So, yeah, we'll move on. But, yeah, the benefit for this conservative strategy in 26L, bottom right, just under 50 grand.
Yeah. So
extra.
if we don't do the mortgage strategy, our mortgage is down to 23. If we do the super strategy, our mortgage is only down to 218. Hold on, I'm 60, I've still got 218 mortgage. But this super balance is now 242.
Yeah.
So you rip that out, pay your mortgage off, you're going to have 24 grand left over.
Yeah.
Compared to actually having 23 owing, it's about a 47,000 benefit over that period of time. Now, can you automatically get it the day you turn 60? There are other things to talk through around accessing that money. Do you do TTRs? And what happens if my partner's 52 and I'm 50? Whose
there's
name
some
we
cute
doing?
strategies along the way.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing here, and this is why I want just everyone to zoom out a little bit, if your mortgage at age 60 is 218 in this one, I mean, you've started with a lower mortgage anyway, so we'll assume you've had a good crack over the last few years, and many of our listeners have done well financially. If you get to 60 and the mortgage is 218, the property could be worth 1.5, probably more in Australia. Like, this is 10 years down the road. That's a 14% LVR. Like, relative, if you zoom out, because I want to encourage people to look at your entire net worth position, because how many people say, oh, I've got no super to retire because I've been self-employed my whole life. You got 3 investment properties. So we need to zoom out and look at our total balance sheet and just get some perspective. But we know one thing, somebody retiring that put extra money into super never regrets it. Someone retiring and paying the mortgage off throughout their working life never regrets it either. It's the idea that we need to live on less than we earn and put the rest to work, whether paying down debt or investing for the future.
That's a fair point.
Yep.
And that back to the topic of this was, don't automatically put in your mortgage. What you said, look at your overall balance sheet. Often if I'm just mortgage, well, I don't realise my super is not going up or my savings or whatever. And
this is the cool thing. Like, the more I chew on this, the more I'm okay if someone does want to do this type of strategy, and maybe they're seeing an advisor, because I can see here financial advice fees will pay for themselves like times over. If you went, Marty, Glenn, I get that vibe, I will set up a second super fund and it will just have a cash option. I don't care if you wade into this water. First year, I'm keeping my super in cash. Second year, we might put it to a 30% growth. Because I want people to be comfortable with the strategy.
And it's a taxing. And it might be you do more than this, you do less than this. All your pay rises in the future go this way rather than your current thing. Maybe it's any bonuses if you, depending on your work and your job, your remuneration, salary sacrifice my bonuses to super or the equivalent. There's different ways to carve this up. But we just want to explain the concept and why this makes sense. Would we start doing this at 30? I mean, it helps, but perhaps that door to getting it back out is not going to start till 60. So the closer we are to 60, the less risk we're taking.
Yeah, and what I will say is, just as a catch-all with this strategy, and we'll kind of tap it in to the next point right now.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. If you would like help based on your own personal situation, head over to retireright.com.au, click Get Help, and we'd be happy to introduce you to one of our trusted professionals. Our panel of vetted financial advisors and mortgage brokers work with people all over Australia, so they can connect with you wherever you are. That's retireright.com.au and click Get Help.
So off the back of that, paying the mortgage down versus super, one of the things that will govern this strategy is what we call
super contribution caps.
That'll do. So off the back of that, let's talk about your second point, that you want to talk about using your higher income years to actually build retirement savings.
Yeah, and so exactly, it connects to this. If someone goes, I don't have a mortgage, perfect, well done. But the tax stuff we just talked about still applies. So money going into super falls under what's called a concessional cap. The limit for the 2027 financial year, and if you're watching this now, that's the new cap, is $32,500.
Yeah, and we'll pop that slide on the screen now. That's the cap there.
That's the new cap. Now, that figure includes what work puts on your behalf. So work has to put in 12%. Then you have to do that on your payday super as well. So you can check and measure that more readily than you could before. So if I'm earning $100,000, work's putting in $12,000, up to 32 and a bit, there's about 20,000 left over. So I can decide to, I can afford to do $100 a week, or $400 a week will get you to that cap. Now, once you're at that cap, that might be a dead end, or you actually may have the chance to catch up some contributions from prior years as well.
Yeah.
So it's really around, am I investing in here? Am I investing outside of super, investing in the mortgage? And again, it's really around that tax optimization.
And we are generalizing, and everyone's going to laugh at this. Like, hopefully, as your kids get a bit older, you can start to save some money.
And spend less,
But potentially, you might be done with high school, private school fees. One might be now working, teen, paying a bit of board.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've got to start to. I want people to know the arse might be hanging out of you in your 50s, right? You might be, I am rooted. This is tough. I've got teen kids.
Yeah.
Let's just pause. You've probably got 20 years of really productive time in the marketplace if you want it.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
Like, let's get serious. I want to encourage everyone listening. I know you're the sandwich generation, Gen Xers and all that. We hear you. Be seen.
Yeah.
But let's now use this episode as a bit of a attaboy, attagirl.
Starting point. Yeah.
Let's get up.
Don't worry about
back
it
to our
yesterday
first
today.
point. We might have been drifting. It's time to get serious.
Yeah.
So serious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now have a look at. Oh, this is an interesting one. Your third point. What are you talking about here?
So, a lot of the rules we talk about is per person, those kind of things. Now, assuming you're in a couple, no one's in a couple. Maybe you were in a couple, now you're not. Maybe you're in a new relationship. It's important to look at these strategies together. And there's a next slide coming about different strategies. But as kind of rambled a bit there, we may turn 60 at different times.
Yes.
So whose name is that going in? It may be that, we earn different amounts of money.
Yeah.
So are we both automatically salary sacrificing, or does it make more sense for the person with the higher tax bracket to be salary sacrificing? It may mean that one person in the relationship watches this content, the other one doesn't. Well, I'm going to start salary sacrificing. My partner doesn't care. They don't understand it. We'll get them involved. We need to be planning as a couple. We'll get to the retirement episodes later, but there may be some times that we want to boost the lower spouse who's got less in super because they had time out of work or they were self-employed.
Yep.
Those kind of different tax brackets, etc. Making sure that both partners understand that plan.
Yeah.
Often in life there's someone who's leading that discussion, but you want to be doing it together.
And you make a point here. Retirement is usually a household plan. Like when we talked about before with the net wealth, we need to zoom out and not look at silos.
Yeah.
Look at everything in completeness. Same thing with your household plan.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, well, we're in our 50s, we're second, third relationships, life's complex, we share a bit of money. That's fine. We still need to have a bit of a chat. What does this situation look like in 20 years, in 10 years, in 10 minutes? I think it's that communication piece. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
As a unit.
Yeah.
Even if we do some, this is my little thing there, like, no, we're still adults and we're still building a life together. Let's talk about it that
Plan and
way.
map that through together.
Yeah.
So here's where to start on that.
Yeah. So let's put up slide 6, please, Sean.
So there's many to discuss, but I've just pulled out 3 kind of things here: contribution splitting, spouse contribution, and government co-contribution. So contribution splitting is perhaps less heard of, less known of, but that is where Glen earns a good wage, puts money into his super. But he decides, and that uses his cap, his tax saving, all those kind of things, but decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to split my contributions at the end of the year across to my spouse. So why might someone do that? It may be to even out the balances. Hey, I worked a long time in my life at the moment. My wife's not working because she's supporting the kids in bits and pieces. Therefore, she doesn't have 12% going in. So I can split my super across to her to help trying to balance those, level them out. There's no extra tax when it happens. It's a form you do once a year with your super funds, and it's pretty straightforward. There may be a different strategy where if someone's closer to 60, if someone's 58 and someone's 52, we might go, yeah, the 52-year-old are less in super, but we want to pull the money out at 60 to go towards a mortgage. Let's split it the other way and split it to, let's get the 58 balance up to 800,000 because we can get our hands on it a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So that you can go.
So you can
both
legally
ways.
go. Older person may have less super. Let's now over the next 5 years, because you can do up to 85% of the contribution.
Prior year's contribution.
Yeah.
So and then there's other certain limits, the carry forward things we touched on. Your super balance has got to be below 500,000 to be eligible for that.
Yeah.
So we've got some clients that perhaps can't quite afford to use them all, but they're at that 450 kind of threshold. Well, let's split to your partner. They're already at 600. They're already over that. Let's split to them to keep them well above that to try and keep you below 500,000 to preserve some of these strategies. So that's contribution splitting. Spouse contribution and co-contribution are around planning as a couple, and these both kind of relate to if you've got a partner who's on a lower tax rate. Kind of in the 30 to 40,000s or below is where these start to make sense. So if both people are earning 80 grand, these are less relevant. But if one partner is earning 150, one's earning 20, well, the 20-year-old, it doesn't make sense to salary sacrifice, but I would recommend they look at both of these things. So a spouse contribution is when you put up to $3,000 into super for your spouse. So let's say that the high-income earner puts $300,000 into the spouse's super, no tax when it goes in, and the high-income earner can get 18% back on their tax return, $540. Now, perhaps that's not life-changing, but hey, you're helping grow a lower super balance, but this is money back from the government. It's an 18% guaranteed return. And then in addition to that, the government co-contribution is if the lower income earner, as long as they're working, they can put $1,000 into their super. It goes in tax-free. Lodge your tax return at the end of the year. Your super fund tells the ATO. The ATO checks your income and says, hey, you know what? Good job trying to boost your super. We'll match that and we'll put up to $500 into your super as a tax-free one-off payment. So there's two little strategies there. Often, high-income earners, they should really focus on super, and low-income earners, we won't worry about them. We worry about you.
Yeah.
There's $4,000 there that can go into super that the government's kind of going to give you over $1,000 back, either on your tax return or into super. There's some nice little quick wins that make sense as a couple.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, the fourth thing you want to talk about, let's talk about investment now. So you mentioned check whether your super is invested for the retirement you actually want. What do you mean by that?
I thought it was a nice collection of words, but it's really the prompt of have a look.
Have a look, yeah.
How many people, I get it once a year, I don't even open it, or I don't read it, I see my balance, it's gone up, that's good. I don't turn the second page or the third page. Did I pick the options? Did my work pick the options? Did this? I'm in the, it says balance. Okay, is that good? Is that what I want? Maybe I'm happy to take a more risk and I should be a different option. Maybe I'm really conservative and I shouldn't be in that option. Other than, not only you're planning till you retire, but ideally you want to plan to live for a long time.
So this kind of point here, it is a little bit, there's this weird dichotomy thing happening with Retire Right listeners. Most of the time, it attracts people that are really dialed in and all that stuff. and us saying, well, check what your super's invested in, 90, 80% of people listening were like, what are you talking about? Like, we're all over it.
Yeah.
This point here is for those who may have tripped over this episode as their first foray into retire right. In their 50s, someone sent it to you.
Yeah.
I need you to first find out what your super is invested in. If it's balanced growth, awesome. That's what we want to know. We also want to know what is the split of defensive assets. So our cash, bonds, maybe a bit of infrastructure.
Alternates, maybe some
like
gold
just,
or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then the growth assets. So I want people to understand that, one, yes, I am invested in the growth option. And then have a look, because each individual fund, this shats me to tears that I don't believe. If I was like PM for a day, I would be mandating that if you use the word growth in your superannuation fund, it must be 70, 30, 50, 50, whatever it is.
What the label says doesn't
That's right. So
relate
that's
to what's
the biggest
underneath.
blind spot in the Australian superannuation system at the moment. You could have 5 different funds, all called growth option, but 5 different actual percentages.
Yeah.
And that's the kicker and the trick when you see advertising that our fund balanced options did better than all these other funds. Well, their balanced option might be 80% growth, where the other balanced ones they're comparing to are 60% growth. So there's no secret sauce with investing in asset allocation, people. The higher allocation to growth assets over time, you'll have a higher return than not being in growth assets.
Yeah. And when we're saying look at it, we're not saying change it because of this, the flavour of this month. Oh, there's something happening overseas. Maybe I shouldn't be in growth anymore. No, this is a long-term play. We're investing this money for a long time. But have a look. And then we've done some episodes around bucket strategy and different things like that. And maybe that's more relevant in your 60s, but you need to start looking at that stuff in your 50s or back to that mortgage play. If we know, okay, when I turn 60, I'm going to start a TTR and I'm going to rip out $200,000 to go towards my mortgage, perhaps that shouldn't be in the growth option. Perhaps that should be in a slightly more conservative option.
Yeah, it's about planning.
Whether it's a separate fund that has a separate option or your existing fund, hey, keep all my current super in that option, but all the future contributions for the next 5 years put into this other option.
Yeah. Okay, point 5, review insurance before the premiums make the decisions for you. What do you mean by this?
Insurance is really important. I've got all the insurances. I'm sure you do as well. Insurance is really important. But the likelihood of claim increases as we get older.
So we're talking personal life insurance, disability, death cover, income insurance.
And then you may have them personally, but often you'll have them inside of your super fund. And so in 2 parts, you may have a locked-in amount. I'm insured for $1 million, and it locks itself at $1 million, but the premiums increase significantly every year. Or you may have what's called a unitised cover, and the opposite happens. The super fund goes, oh, we don't want you to pay more than $1,000 a year, so we're going to drastically drop what you're insured by every year. That may not be the right decision if you still have a mortgage and dependents and kids.
Yeah, so my gut or knee-jerk reaction, gag reflex on insurance, particularly just talk death cover, it's really useful if you've got debt and or dependents. So perhaps the kids have actually left home now. You got started early and you're 57 and they're done. Do we need the $2 million of death cover anymore? I don't know. Maybe we can have a look. It's like, well, our mortgage is
we've got inheritance,
very much under control. We've got healthy super balances. We might be able to take a bit of risk on ourselves. If either of us checked out early, the other one would be financially totally fine. The question is then, what are you doing about your disability cover? If your whole life is built on you earning,
you can earn for the next 10 years. You're going to
next 10 years, we need $100,000 a year as income because it's part of our strategy. We're all still healthy. Well, what if you couldn't work? What are you doing? Because you might not be able to access the super. So look, it's just we'll pop this slide up just with some things to consider.
Again, have a look. It doesn't mean cancelling, but at least review it. And like you can keep the cover but reduce it. So we had $2 million. Geez, we didn't realise that's costing $8,000 a year. That's really eating into that. We're only putting in $15,000 a year and half it's going on insurances. We want to keep some, but maybe $1 million's fine. Maybe you can reduce it without actually cancelling it. And what I mean by before this is made for you is if if you don't cancel it, they might start charging you $30,000 a year.
To make you cancel it.
So then in turn, you're like, geez, why am I going backwards here? The markets did so well because it's eroding. So we'd prefer to hold policies for longer, but to step them down and reduce the level of cover.
Yeah.
And to your point, it might be that we want to need to keep the income protection, but maybe the death cover is no longer needed.
But speak to a financial advisor about the insurance cover. We here promote a company called Sky Wealth, and they just specialize in life insurance.
Yep.
You might say, I've got some in my super fund and I need some more. There's categorical evidence, and people will not believe this. We've done episodes before. You can Google Sky Wealth insurance premiums. Phil has done the work. And we did an example here on the Money podcast. Getting extra insurance through your super fund, your big name super fund, was sometimes double the price of getting it through a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And people just will not be able to stomach that because we've been ingrained that top 10 super funds, industry super funds, everything's cheaper. But if you look at the actual data, we need to make data-driven decisions. Yeah. The group cover, particularly additional group cover, is more expensive.
Yeah, because they're covering everyone's, whereas you want personal cover.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's now start to bring this home. Family home.
Pun intended?
Yeah.
Let's bring it
very
home
much.
with the home.
We really did, didn't we? We really did.
We want to live somewhere. We want to have somewhere to go home to. But back to our points, life in our late 50s might be different to our late 30s. Maybe the kids have moved out. Maybe we needed the 4 or 5 bedroom house. We don't anymore. Maybe it's a different suburb. Maybe we need the space for grandkids to stay, or mum or dad's health means that they've got to move in. So this is not here's the tax strategy or not, but just consider how that becomes into the play. Back to the debt from before. If we know that at the age of 60 we're probably going to downsize and that might free up $500,000, well, maybe let's not stress about paying your home loan off at 58, because you might be in a position, I've paid my house off, I've now got all this extra money, and I can't get into super. Geez, I wish I actually left a bit of debt there and did super earlier. Yeah. So it's really just figuring out, where do we want to live in retirement? Is this the right house? Is it the right area? Are we upgrading size or financial? Are we downsizing? Just figuring out how that life looks. And we may not know, but at least kind of starting to think that through and talk to your partner, talk to your family about how that fits in.
In a few months' time, we'll start to talk about it more, but in the Retire-ite book that's coming out, we did a full chapter on what to do with the family home and whether we need it now to live in and not extract equity out of it, or we're using some of the equity for our retirement planning. Yeah. How do we go about that? Are we doing reverse mortgage? Are we doing equity release? Are we downsizing? Are we side-sizing?
It's so many options.
And I did a really big flow chart so people can just start at the top and it'll help you make the decisions. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the year because the family home, we know that when we look at the government's intergenerational reports and planning for the future, one of their pillars, particularly the ASFA retirement standards and all that stuff, a lot of it is on the premise that we need to own our dwelling. Mm-hmm. And even in this is a bit of a plug for the book coming out, we even did an example of someone renting their whole life, got to retirement, had super, and the difference with
what the
taking the super out, buying a house, using a HIAS from the government, and the net benefit was better off. Like crazy stuff that you can do, because we know in Australia, owning a home is the pillar for retirement living and income.
Homeowner,
So, look, I don't know, you still might be up to your eyeballs in debt, and that's okay. We all are. But when was the last time you ran your eyes over the mortgage? When was the last time you did a bit of a health check?
Yeah.
And potentially, you're in your 50s, you're still young. If we do have a bit of equity and we want to maybe look at some wealth creation, a bit of leverage could be on the table there, whether it's an investment property, whether it's a commercial investment property, whether it's a ETF portfolio. Don't know too much about borrowing to invest in super, but
Probably not going to happen.
We're probably going to do that. But there are a variety of options, particularly around wealth creation, particularly as we are entering our highest income years. Potentially expenses are going down a little bit with kids finishing private schools and all that. We just have to be intentional.
Yeah, and then even like we've got that like renovation.
What do you want to do?
We're going to upgrade the kitchen when we retire. Oh, let's upgrade it now. Like enjoy it while we're still hosting parties and the kids still want to come over now. Like whole of house situation. What does that look like from various angles?
Yeah, and what is like you may know like so part of the chapter that I wrote in the book for the house was all around. You might be on a decent size acreage. You might be on a big property. I'm sorry, but when you're old and frail, and this is probably more for the next 60s episode, but like what is the intention?
Yeah.
If you're like, we're not going to die here because we won't be able to take care of it, let's pick a date, call it 70. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're 55 now. We've got 15 years here. What are we going to do in the next 15 years? Let's put the new kitchen in now and enjoy it, but we're transitioning at this date. So just be very strategic.
We've had some clients last few years that have decided that, in fact, they've gone and put a lift in the home because they've decided this will be our home. It's 2-story. We want to stay here. It's close to all our friends, our best friends. So, all right, well, we need to budget for that. And how's that going to work? And am I waiting till I have to do that because I've had a fall? Or let's plan that now and move around that earlier.
I don't know many 50-year-olds putting lifts in at the moment, but it's the thought of it.
Yeah, it's a planning now, exactly. This is going to be our forever home. What does it need to be in a few years' time to make it our forever home?
Hopeful that I can leave Newcastle feet first in a box. Mm-hmm. You might have that same vibe with the house that you're living in.
Yeah.
Got a friend of mine, they're in their 40s. They just renovated their house. I know he is leaving their feet first in a box.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah. So it's all good. We just need to understand. All right, let's take some action. We'll throw this slide up. Do you want to read through these bring it home points?
Yeah, connecting all the dots. Great content. We love this chat, but we want to help people put some things in place. So find some surplus cash, check where it's going. Are we? Oh, okay, we are paying on more of the mortgage than we need to. Maybe we should look at this super strategy. Review your super contributions and investment options. So as we've kind of said, and maybe lots of listeners have already, but I think it's around 60% of Australians are still in the default option. And not saying that's wrong, but that's an indication that they haven't reviewed it. Again, get your partner involved. This is a household planning suggestion and planning. And maybe there's some strategies that you've got the surplus to help your partner or vice versa. We need to make sure we're connecting dots. Maybe today's the first time you've heard around this super splitting strategy. There's some videos to interpret, talk to your super fund. There's a form to fill in that may make sense to get underway. Review the insurances. There was a point on the slide before. It's very hard to get them back. So cancel with hesitation, but at least have a look at them, have a plan. If you're not sure, reach out and have a call.
Yeah, be guided by an advisor.
Start talking about what retirement is actually going to look like. Where do we want to be living? What do we want to be doing? Do we want to start testing a bit of retirement lifestyle now? Do we work for a couple more years so we can do that, take a year off in our 50s and travel overseas, all those kind of things? Maybe there's certain activities that health-wise we can afford to do this when we're 70, but actually would be much more enjoyable in our 50s. Find a way to make it happen. And importantly, I think it's time to get some advice perhaps.
Yeah, 100%. Like there are so many options, particularly if you do have some surplus income. And you have mortgage, you got super. The financial game in life is a chess game. You need to get some help from a chess master.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be a chess master or have the confidence to make the moves, and that's that whole thing.
Get a plan, get it mapped out. If I had $1 for every time a client said, "Oh, geez, I wish I met you 10 years ago," I'd have a few dollars.
Yeah.
But it definitely is. Oh, I didn't even know this. Wow, actually, we should have done that years ago. We don't have a time machine, so the best time to start is now.
So if you are after a financial advisor, you can head to retireright.com.au, click Get Help, and I'll be able to introduce you to a suitable advisor who's been vetted by me and they're literally not going to screw you or scam you. Because that's half the thing. Like when we're engaging with professionals in any, so here at the studio the other day, I had my cousin come in. She does kitchens and stuff. She works for another company. She goes, I really can't do anything with the price. And I'm like, Deb, it's not about you doing a better price for me. I just want to know I'm not going to get screwed.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not a target. So that's why we like to kind of have a panel of different advisors that I know suit different people who aren't greedy sharks or anything like that at the outset.
And we talk about this a whole other episode, but lead with the strategic planning side.
Yes.
We talked a lot today. We touched a little bit on investments or super, but if some financial advisor or someone online saying, oh, he's the best super fund, or he's the best ETF to buy, or he's the best self-managed super fund property strategy. No, there's no actual product that's the best. It's the strategy stuff that has to line up, and that's a different strategy for different people. So that's
and I will say, just as a catch-all thing, as you are getting older in your 50s and your super balance is accumulating more now than ever, it's probably unlikely you will need to think about moving to a self-managed super fund because you can still buy a property in super, but it's just got to be with cash.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure if we want to lock up all our super in the one illiquid asset.
Yeah, we want liquidity.
So there's probably less about moving to a self-managed super fund. I will just say, I just want this episode to really be an encouragement for those in their 50s to have a bit of a shake-up. Let's get some decisions made. Let's have fun. Let's plan some. If the kids are getting older and you've got more time and a bit of money, it's okay to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Get out there, take your bride, take your husband, do that. Go do some stuff. Have some fun.
And if it's not today, okay, that's a great idea. We'll start that at 55, whatever, but at least it's in your mind.
Yeah.
And like we said, check out the 60s and the 70 episode as well, because it's some ideas of going, okay, that's going to happen then. All right, cool. Well, that makes more sense about why I should do that now in my 50s. You need to connect some dots together.
So the 60s episode is 436 and the 70s one is 438. So, and we'll put a link below in the show notes. I'll put a link to download the presentation pack. And you can have a bit of a look at that and just get encouraged and take some type of action. Martin McGrath, thank you so much for jumping on Retire Right today. Hey, if you've found this episode useful, let us know in the comments. If you're over 60, let everyone know what you did if you're over 50, let everyone know what you did in your 50s that was a benefit. And let us know, because I like to read a lot of them if I can reply. Sometimes I'm like at the doctor's waiting room looking and like, oh, Glenn, I'm like, oh, I've got to go. I try to reply, but I do see a lot of them. Let us know what good decisions you've made in your 50s. And remember, give us a like here. If you've enjoyed the content, pop us a review. And more importantly, share it with someone else in their 50s to put a rocket up them that it's now time to get really strategic. Thank you so much, Martin, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guest on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.